What is up? It is Big Char Trades back with another video, and in this video I'm going to give you a complete guide to finding your draw on liquidity. I've been getting a ton of questions about finding a draw on liquidity, so I figured I'd finally make this video and help you guys find your draw. This is something that is probably one of the most important things when it comes to trading, because in order to trade properly, in order to be a profitable trader, you need to be aware of where the market's going. So in this video, I'm just going to be probing order flow on the 4-hour time frame, and I'm just going to be showing you how to find a draw based on price action and other things that you will see in this video. So with that being said, let's get right into it. And I'm just going to go in the replay feature. I'm literally just going to go candle by candle and show you where my draw is, short-term draw, long-term draw, whatever. So here, right, we see that price has gone ahead and swept this low right here, okay, this sell side liquidity. So in order for, and at first glance, right, you might think that this is going to be the draw, right, because we're clearly mitigating all these fair value gaps. But in order for this to be the draw, we need to sweep this low with, very strong, right? We need to have some displacement through this low, and that would tell me that price wants to take this low that happens to be inside of this fair value gap. So let's see what happens, right? If there's displacement, then my draw would be this low, okay? If there's not displacement, and if price reacts to the upside from this level, then my draw would be this high, okay? So let's see what price does. And as you can see, price clearly respects this piece of liquidity right here. So this would not be my draw. This buy side liquidity would be my draw on liquidity here. So let me mark that out there, and let's see what happens. Okay, price reacts off of this mini fair value gap, okay, displaces out of it. So I either want to see price go ahead and take this low or take this high, this buy side liquidity. This remains my draw. Let's see what happens. Price clearly just inverses this 4-hour bearish fair value gap and takes that draw. Since we have this displacement and we did sweep this low right here, this is considered a 4-hour change in state of delivery, right? As you can see from there. And my draw remains this high right here. Again, same thing that I just said. If we displace through this high, which it looks like we will, if we displace through this high, then this buy side liquidity is the clear draw. If we react to this high poorly, then my draw would be this candle's low. So let's see what happens here. Nothing happens. We didn't displace in any direction, but we did create this 4-hour fair value gap. Okay, so with that being said, all of these draws go away. My draw is now inside of this 4-hour fair value gap, so that we see a reaction inside of it, and then, obviously we trade to the upside. Okay, this remains my draw. Let's see. This is my short-term draw. This is my long-term draw. See what happens. Price, I don't even know if price tapped into that fair value gap. I think it did. So this buy side liquidity would be my draw. Also, this bullish order flow tells me that this is a highly probable draw. So let's see what happens. Okay, trading to the upside. Okay, so once again, tap into this gap, but what did we do? We inversed this bullish fair value gap. So I want to see what price does out of this. Does it displace lower into this 4-hour gap, this bottom one, or does it displace lower through this gap, or does it bounce off this gap and trade to the upside? Let's see. We respected that CE. So right now my draw would be this high. This would be my draw on liquidity. Let's see what happens. And as you can see, we inverse this 4-hour bearish fair value gap, right? and we take this liquidity. So, and we displace through that high. So my next draw would either be this high if we displace more through this buy side liquidity, or if we displace to the downside, then my draw would be this 4-hour fair value gap right here. If I move higher, let's see what happens. Okay, we respected that inversion. So let's see. My draw still remains this buy side liquidity. And as you can see, price goes ahead. Okay, so right now, sorry guys, let me just continue this. So right now my draw would be this 4-hour fair value gap. So that price can go into it and trade higher. Let's see. My draw is still that 4-hour fair value gap. We tapped into that gap. So now my draw would be this buy side liquidity. And as you can see, it swept it and we got displacement to the downside. Since we displaced that high, I think that my draw would now be this low. And as you can see, my draw was this low. It was the wrong draw. We respected this 4-hour fair value gap. My draw would be this high since we're respecting that gap. Let's see. And boom, price literally rips through. Okay, so now what I would do, I would go to the daily, see what's happening here. On the daily, we see this bearish daily fair value gap. That price clearly respected. So with that, my draw would now be this low right here. Okay. Let me draw this out. Go to the 4-hour time frame. Okay, so this is my draw. Now that we tapped into that daily fair value gap, let's see what happens. We are inversing all of these bullish PD arrays. This was a little bit of an egregious draw. This would have been a better draw. Why? Because we also have this 4-hour fair value gap right there. Yeah, sometimes you're wrong with the draws. I mean, we still got direction. So let's see. Let's see what happens inside of this daily fair value gap. If we inverse it, then obviously my draw would be buy side liquidity. For now, what do we see here? We inversed this 4-hour fair value gap. Okay, so what does that tell me? My short-term draw would be this high. So let's see what happens. So we took that high and we have immediate displacement to the downside, inversing this 4-hour fair value gap. Right? So now my draw would be this low. As you can see, low did not get taken. We respected this bullish fair value gap. This is also a weird candle. So you see how I'm wrong sometimes? So in those scenarios where I'm wrong, I would either get stopped out or I would see on the lower time frames that the trade wasn't there. So like maybe since my draw was this low, right? My draw was this low. You saw this was my draw and price ran to the upside, right? We were here. Okay, my draw was this low. So in this scenario, what probably would have happened is I probably would have been short, and then on the lower time frames, there were no short opportunities. So like, let's see, like on the 15-minute time frame, like I probably would have been short here, right? With this being the draw, okay? But on the lower time frames, what's happening, right? There's no the nearest short opportunity would be this fair value gap. Okay, so like I would short up here. So let's see what happens. I'd only short up there if there's a lower time frame confluence. You get me? This is like technically a higher time frame right now. So let's see right here. Price goes ahead and trades inside of that 15-minute gap. And so at this point, what am I looking for? I'm looking for oh, this is like also 1:44 a.m. So it's also just like not that probable. But what would I look for? I would have taken like an inversion or something, right? So I would have taken this inversion out of the 15-minute gap right here, and I would have gotten stopped out. So like, you see how if my draw is wrong, I'm either getting stopped out of the trade or the confluences on the lower time frame didn't match up with the whole thing. You get me? So like, I'm either getting stopped out or there were no confluences for a trade. So what do we see here? Well, we see price clearly disrespecting this fair value gap. Okay, so my draw would be this high. Let's see what happens. Took that high, right? So it took that high, and let's see where my next draw would be. Really isn't anything here. But we do have some turbulence at this high. So I think naturally my draw would be one of these lows, like this low right here. And that got hit. And then now, what do we have? The only thing we have, the only P to ray is we have this bullish 15-minute fair value gap. We haven't really disrespected any P to rays. There aren't any P to rays here. So this would be my draw, this 4-hour fair value gap. As you can see, that gap got hit. We respected it from this big wick. And so naturally my draw would be, I don't know, this seems a bit far. My short-term draw would be here, and then my mid-term draw would be here. And then I guess my long-term draw would be this high right here. So let's see what happens. Okay, both those draws taken. And immediately after taking my midterm draw, price displaces to the downside, inverses this fair value gap right here. So naturally, my draw before this candle exists. Since we closed through this and there's heavy displacement after taking that draw, this would be my next draw. And as you just saw from the candle, it was taken there. And then now, my draw would be this huge 4-hour fair value gap, right? I'd want price to trade inside of it. Let's see what happens. Price trades inside of it, and now my draw would be these equal lows right here. So let's see what happens. Wow. This is some bad PA. Put in a failure swing, and then inverse this gap to the upside. So with that inversion, naturally my draw would be this high right here. And then we inverse. So as you can see, this PA is dog shit. This is what we're dealing with. We're at the current date right now. So we inversed this 4-hour fair value gap to the upside right here. And now we inverse this bullish 4-hour fair value gap to the downside. So as you can see, this price action is dog shit. And this is what we're dealing with in the present day. But this is exactly how I find my draw. You don't need like some huge draw on liquidity, right? Like you don't need to say, okay, these equal lows, right? These actually look like a good draw, but right? Like you don't need to say like, oh, these equal lows, this is going to be my draw, right? Like you don't need to do that. Okay. Like you can have a short-term draw. That's perfectly okay. You can make like $2,000-$3,000 off having a draw like this. So this is exactly how I find my draw every single day. I rather use short-term draws than long-term draws just because long-term draws, we're day trading here, right? We're not like actually fucking swinging positions. So short-term draws actually hit TP more often. So that's what I would use here. But this is exactly how I go about finding my draw on liquidity. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment of a video that you'd like to see, or subscribe if you're new. Like the video. do whatever you got to do, man. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I highly appreciate, people who leave comments. I read all the comments all the time. So if you're interested in leaving a comment or, following me on my socials, go ahead and do so. I'm active on like all of them every single day. So with that being said, hope you enjoyed this video. By the end of this video, you should now understand how to properly find your draw on liquidity. And with that being said, I'm going to end the video here, guys. Peace out.